Hi, everyone, and welcome to RBCM at Home. My name is Kim Goff, and I'm a learning program developer at the Royal BC Museum. I'm coming to you today from my home, which is located on the territories of the Songhees and the Esquimalt First Nations, the Lekwungen-speaking people in Victoria, British Columbia. During this pandemic period, it has felt at times that everything is upside down, but we do our best to find ways to cobble together some semblance of normal and try to lean into the familiar. One familiar tradition for many over the summer months is to go on vacation. So for RBC at Home in the months of July and August, we'll be virtually visiting museums and cultural organizations across the province, going on a road trip together, so buckle up. My colleague, Chris O'Connor, took the wheel while I was away, and he guided us to our first 3 stops. We started in the Caribou Mountains of BC's central interior with a visit to Barkerville Historic Town and Park. From there, we headed southwest to the place where mountains, rivers, and people meet in Whistler at the Squamish-Lil'wat Cultural Center. Our third stop was in the southern interior near Castlegar at the Doukhobor Discovery Center. We have enjoyed wonderful hospitality at all 3 of these locations. And today, we're turning on the air conditioning and heading back along Highway number 3, hugging the Canadian-US border all the way to Burnaby on the Lower Mainland, where our destination is the Nikkei National Museum and Cultural Center. The Nikkei Museum is dedicated to the history of Japanese Canadians. The first known immigrant from Japan arrived to Canada in 1877. Like other minorities, Japanese Canadians since that time struggled against prejudice and won a respected place in the Canadian mosaic through hard work and perseverance. Our host today is Cultural and Education Coordinator Carolyn Nakagawa. Carolyn has been at the Museum and Cultural Center for 2 years, and today is going to tell us more about the site, how to visit, and their programs. Hello, Carolyn.
Hello, thanks for having me. Thanks for visiting.
Yeah, we're happy to be visiting you.
Yeah.
And can you tell us more about where we are?
Yes, so I'm actually presenting from my home, but the territorial acknowledgement still stands for both my home and the Museum and Cultural Center. So I'd like to acknowledge that the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of the Coast Salish peoples, in particular the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam First Nation, on whose territory we stand. And since working at the museum, I've met Squamish elder Sam George, who often comes to give blessings at our larger events when we have larger events. And I've also been able, as part of the staff, to visit the Musqueam Cultural Center on their reserve, and it's been a real privilege to begin those relationships and get to know and learn from those cultures as well. So I'm always very happy to think about that when I give this acknowledgement.
Thank you. And maybe I should start very basically and ask you, what does Nikkei mean?
It's a great question. Nikkei is a Japanese word that means Japanese ancestry. So we use Nikkei rather than saying we're a Japanese cultural center because it represents our community that lives here in Canada, rather than being a group of people that has, say, a legal or citizenship relationship to Japan. We have a more heritage relationship where people like myself, I'm a Canadian citizen born in Canada, as many of our community are, or born elsewhere in the world, but have some kind of ancestry related to Japan.
Excellent. And because it is a cultural center and a museum, what types of services and facilities are available there?
Yes, so because we're both museum and cultural center, we have museum type things that you would expect and also cultural center type things that you would expect. So we have exhibits and archives of our Japanese Canadian community, as well as public and school programs that relate to both Japanese Canadian history and heritage, but also Japanese culture in a sometimes more contemporary, sometimes more historical way, as well as special events often geared around the seasons. Like we'll have a spring festival, a summer festival, New Year's events, things like that.
Oh, excellent. And are you open?
We are open. Yes. Yeah, so we reopened on June 2nd with enhanced safety protocols. Actually, I'm going to share my screen because I have a couple of cute graphics to show. We've been making use of aspects of Japanese culture that are helpful during this period of physical distancing. So if you can share my, see my screen, you're able to see one of my colleagues made this graphic to show the Japanese cultural custom of bowing is more effective than handshakes right now. And we're also seeing a lot of face masks pop up, and there's a local artist who's selling face masks through our gift shop, which are really cute. Recommend
Oh,
those.
that's excellent.
And we held our Tanabata Summer Festival event for on the weekend closest to July 7th. So this is a picture from there. We're moving a lot of our events outdoors whenever possible because it's considered safer, and we are fortunate to have a beautiful garden space we can do that in. So you'll see everyone's wearing masks and being physically distant.
Carolyn, what kinds of things were happening at the festival?
Yeah, so we have different vendors for crafts. Flea market right now, our flea market is on in our lobbies. So we have different used items. Many of them are have some Japanese origin. And instead of having that over one weekend, we're having it over an entire month so that people can come in no more than a dozen at a time, maybe, and browse the wares over a longer period of time. And we're just getting ready for our summer Nikkei garden. That's going to replace our Nikkei Matsuri summer festival. And these are some photos from our Tanabata festival, just to give an example of what it looks like for us to have a physically distanced festival type event in our garden, where you have tents with various vendors who will have Japanese food or Japanese crafts, and we'll have timed entry to limit the number of people who are circulating.
And do people have to sign up then in order to do that? Or you just show
Yes.
up and maybe you'll have to wait?
Yes, it is a timed ticketed entry. So you sign up for a time slot for this. And the first weekend we're doing this is August 7th and 8th, the Friday evening and the Saturday afternoon. And yes, so you sign up for a certain time slot. If there are community members who don't use the internet and don't want to register online, that way there are a limited number of spots available at our front desk in person as well.
Oh, great. That's excellent. So that's outside of your building, and that's really making a really smart use of your facility space and making sure there's lots of room. Do you also have exhibits inside that people can visit?
We do, and we're just coming to the last couple days of our Nikkei exhibit, which was opened in our newly renovated gallery space last summer. And it was an exhibit to, for once and for all, explain to people what the word Nikkei means to us. That's coming down at the end of this week or early next week. And we're going to be installing a new exhibit that will open on September 26th. So in the meantime, while the gallery is in installation mode, we do have the Taiken exhibit, which is just in the hallways on the second floor. So we have set up a one-directional marking that matches the flow of the exhibit on the floors. And it just goes over the history of Japanese Canadians as briefly as possible, just make it fit on the walls, but there's lots of historical images from our archives and explanations of different periods of history, and it goes all the way around. And yeah, could probably fit about 6 people in there at once if it was on a popular day.
How many people did you say?
6, just because it's throughout the hallway. Okay. And you kind of have to follow the route. And if you want to see something again, you have to go around in a circle, but that's fine. So that's always available as long as the building is open to the public. And we'll open our new exhibit, Broken Promises, on September 26th.
So without the new feature exhibition, how long would you recommend somebody take to visit this, this exhibit that you're showing us?
You know, when I give a guided tour of this exhibit, it's probably about 45 minutes. So I would say, give or take, it depends on how thorough you are, of course. If you're someone who likes to read everything, you might want to allow for more time. If you just like to stroll through, you can go through quite quickly. I'd say what you see there are the 3 sections. I think it's about 6 or 7 sections in total that are about that volume.
Okay. Beautiful. And it's you're saying it's covering from, I can read on the sign, from first arrivals. Does it end in contemporary times, or what's the scope of that exhibit?
Yes, it is basically a chronologically organized exhibit. So it starts in 1877. It goes through the years of internment and post-war into recovery, and a little bit about today. It was originally opened in 2012. So today is more open-ended, not super specific, but we do try to add little updates when we can.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, that's a challenge for many museums, is making sure that we can stay updated.
Yeah, and this exhibit is also available in book form through our museum shop and can be ordered in person and also online.
Oh, great. Well, speaking of online, if people aren't able to come to you in person, what are you offering digitally?
Digitally, tons of things. So where do I start? So we tried to, during our closure in April and May, we worked to get a lot of things online. One of the things that I put online was our Omoi cultural education video series, where I interviewed a number of our community members, many of whom are active volunteers at the center, about their own relationship with Japanese culture. And for me, that was an important thing to do when looking at educational programs for local schools and things, was to look at how the two parts of our mandate, Japanese Canadian history and heritage and Japanese culture, overlap and intersect through these people who have such amazing, unique stories. So I wonder, Kim, if you could show the video that I shared with you. I'm going to stop my share.
Excellent. Perfect. So I'm going to open a video, and this is the Ikebana video?
Yes.
I don't see it there. Just let me try one more time. There we go. Full screen. Come back to the beginning.
My name is Kaz Takahashi. I was born in Vancouver, I believe on Gore Avenue. We went to Japanese school in Victoria, but I really was too interested in playing to actually learn Japanese. So I was not very good at Japanese, and I knew it, and I thought, oh well, I'm in this country, why would I have to learn? But also when we were going to school, it was recommended that we only speak English, and so Japanese was not considered okay. So I took that on, which is funny now when I think about it, but the influence of the teachers to the immigrant children is very, very strong, I feel, because we wanted to fit in, you know, and you don't feel that you fit in unless you do what they tell you to do. I was getting drawn to a number of Japanese families coming into Vancouver from Japan, and a small group wanted to learn a little bit of English, and I thought, oh, well, okay, I can help with the English a little bit. And then one of them happened to be a teacher of Ikebana, and so I thought, well, maybe I should learn something about the culture in Japanese, because I really didn't know too much. And that's my main reason to get to do Ikebana, was because of the socializing aspect in Japanese, which I didn't know much about. And so that was how I got started in doing Ikebana. And so in our group, we still have, after over 40 years, I'm still taking lessons with our teacher, who is over 90, and she still is the teacher. Ikebana is different from the massing of flowers alone. The Japanese have always admired nature and have felt very closely akin to natural material. And so the branches were far more important than the flowers. So this is where the difference is in Ikebana. For me, nature really has a lot to teach us if only we would listen and observe and try and help ourselves become more in tune with it. Having had the experience of feeling direct discrimination, I didn't really want to be Japanese. I didn't want to be that. And so I think a number of us felt that way. And I think that after a while, you just realize that you can't be not Japanese. So I thought, well, okay, so give in and start learning about something.
Yes.
Great.
Yeah, so Kaz is a volunteer at our center. In non-pandemic times, she does teach children how to do Ikebana, and her Ikebana group that she mentioned does usually meet at our center as well. So that's one of a series of 5 videos that we produced last year to kind of talk about the intersection of, our community's experience in Canada as people of Japanese heritage. And I'm using that right now, that series, which is viewable online now for the first time. And I'm developing adaptation of our summer camp. So we are actually running summer camp outside with a smaller group of kids. So we did a July session. It was very fun, 11 kids. They had a lot of fun. Actually, I'll share my screen again because I have some pictures. And we'll be doing it again in August. There are still a couple spots available from August 17th to 21st. So circling back.
And these are in-person camps. They're out and they're outside.
This is the kind of layout where every kid has their own space, so they can be 6 feet apart. And we do lots of things that you can run around outside, you can draw, you can make Japanese-inspired candy sushi is what we call that particular creation there, with Rice Krispie squares and candy.
Delicious.
I don't think most Japanese people in Japan would recognize what that was at all. It's our own adaptation. So there's that, but recognizing that families have different comfort levels with interactions with other people right now, we're also launching an at-home package. So I put the link to our website with all the information and the link where you can register there. It will launch on August 1st. So that's the first, anyone who's registered before then will get the download on either Friday or Saturday. And it will just have instructions for things that you can do. Things that we would do in manga camp normally that we're not able to do mostly right now. So things like Kaz, looking at her beautiful video, we made up quick instructions on basic introductory Ikebana arrangement and how you can do one at home and look at some of the basic principles that are in play. Because it is a manga camp, that's the name of the camp, we also have instruction videos for drawing your own manga drawings at home and other activities too. So see, there's a little bit about kimono. There's a craft where you make a mikoshi shrine, which is a traditional shrine that usually makes an appearance at summer festivals in Japan, and a recipe for some yummy manju as well. So.
And it looks like I see some Q-tips and things. Are the materials that you need to do these crafts, are these things that people might regularly have around their house?
We tried to mostly make the materials things that either you would probably have or things that would be pretty easy to find, as long as, I think the trickiest thing is if you, the manju needs some red bean paste, so you need to probably go to an Asian grocery store for that. But otherwise we tried to keep it as simple as possible. And, as long as you make your own judgment about what's safe and everything, I encourage you to substitute whatever you have around. So that's if you have kids at home, hoping that will be a fun thing to do. But also just more generally, if you're at home and wanting to do things, we have other resources as well. There's a Kitsilano digital walking tour. This is an adaptation of a walking tour we usually lead in the summertime of Vancouver's Kitsilano neighborhood, which was actually the 2nd largest Japanese Canadian neighborhood pre-war in Vancouver, which is not a widely known fact. People have heard sometimes about the Powell Street neighborhood, but the next largest in Vancouver was Kitsilano. So using interface through Google Tours, we just use Google Street View to superimpose historical images, and you click around on points of interest. You can find backstories and pictures from the pre-war Japanese Canadian community. So the link there is below. I'm hoping to do more of these because we do have several walking tours, but I think once I launched this one, I kind of got roped into planning more amphibious programs as we started to reopen. So maybe next year we might see more of these. And
I think that's probably a positive thing for a lot of us. We're a provincial museum, you're a national museum. So your audience is the whole country, and therefore having great resources online is something that is really beneficial for our audiences. And so
absolutely.
In some ways a catalyst and to add to programs or even to start new ones.
Yeah, and I think for us, because we're located in the Lower Mainland, which is a big center of where the community was pre-war, but a lot of the descendants of those communities dispersed further east in Canada, so they might not. So people whose families lived in this Kitsilano neighborhood might not be able to visit it in person. So I hope they get to see it through this tour. Another really great treasure trove is our moving image collection. These are Japanese Canadian home movies from the 1920s to the 2000s, and they're all available on our website. You'll see here. And that's been a recently digitized offering that is a real treasure trove to explore, as well as our general museum database, which has all our artifacts and collections. There's a real variety of things you can explore.
Great, that's excellent. So you've got the archives, are they normally something that people can access from home?
Yes, so we do have, I don't have the number off the top of my head, but we have quite a lot of our collection digitized. A very large portion of our collection is photographs, and that can be accessed through the website nikkeimuseum.org. And it's a searchable database, and it also has some of our artifacts and other textual documents. Not everything is digitized, but quite a lot is actually. And currently, the in-person research appointments that we usually receive are not really available, but we're working on it, I think, I hope. And there's also an opportunity, if you do have Japanese heritage and you want to know more about your own family research, we are offering the family history research consultation with my colleague, Linda Kawamoto-Reed, who's an expert in genealogy research as it relates to having roots in Japan. She will do a consultation with you via Zoom or your other platform of choice. So there's a link for that as well.
Oh, that's excellent. Yeah, to be able to do it as a consultation, like one-on-one, I think that's a terrific service. Well, fantastic. Is there anything else you wanted to highlight from your PowerPoint, Carolyn?
Yes, absolutely. So one thing that I just put right at the end was our resilience fundraiser that's on right now. We are hoping to fundraise $250,000 just for the shortfalls that have come up because of the pandemic. Normally, we are able to make a lot of use of our beautiful facility and help subsidize the cost of running the place with rentals of large events, and so many of those things are not able to happen right now. So we're hoping that the community will help support us so that we can continue to share these stories and this history. And the other thing I wanted to share was just the trailer for the upcoming exhibit. And I was wondering if I could ask you to play that, Kim.
I will.
Good.
Thank you for sharing about that fundraiser. I wanted to ask the resources you have for people to do at home, the package, is there a fee for that? I imagine there is for the in-person camp.
There's for the in-person camp. The package itself is $50 per household. So we're hoping that that's a fairly accessible price point, and that if you like the activities, we encourage you to share it with others, and hopefully if anyone who receives it via that sharing method can make a donation of whatever is in their means. But a number of our resources, such as those videos and the Nikkei home movies and the archives, there's quite a lot of things available online for free as well. You can just navigate through our website as well.
Excellent. I believe I have the right trailer set up here,
Yes.
Landscapes of Injustice. Do you want to set it up for us, or is it all explained in the video?
I will say that this is the culmination of a partnership as part of a very major 7-year SSHRC-funded research project. That's the lead institution is the University of Victoria. There's many other universities and other institutions across Canada who have partnered on this research initiative, including our museum. And it's a big part of presenting the findings of the research to have this exhibit, which is going to also travel to other locations in Canada, but it's launching at our museum, and I believe it's going to finish its tour at the Royal BC Museum, which is another partner.
Yes, yeah, it's been as you said, a 7-year project, lots of academic relationships and partnerships, and I'm looking forward to seeing the video.
Mm-hmm.
Please let me know if the audio is not working. I hope it will. Yeah, such a powerful and important story.
Mm-hmm.
It did say, and I can't hear the audio, I don't know why, but I did see on the screen that you'll be doing a live stream about the Landscapes of Injustice program.
Yes.
And what is the date of that again?
September 26th. It's the Saturday.
And will that be recorded if you're not able to join live, or?
I'm pretty sure it will be.
Well, we'll definitely look out for that. I encourage anyone watching on our Facebook or on our Zoom, if you have any questions for Carolyn, please post them there in the chat. I really enjoyed this glimpse into your center, your cultural center and museum. And I have not been. I actually haven't spent very much time in Burnaby before, so I am motivated to come and to check it out. I'm really glad you're doing so much outside, as well as being able to visit online from the convenience of our homes, which is always great. I want to, oh, there is a question here in the Q&A. The question is from Hannah. The question is, I'm a 4th generation Japanese Canadian, and I was wondering about what generation Japanese you are, Carolyn.
Oh, hi, Hannah. I am also a 4th generation.
4th generation. Wow.
Yeah. So I find sometimes every so often I meet a 5th generation too. That's kind of where we're hovering around in Canada. If you go to the United States, there are 5th and 6th generation Japanese Americans. Wow.
And have you learned more about your own family history through working at the museum?
Yes. Yes. Yeah, you run into things, and I think learning about this history more generally, as a Nikkei person, I start to see where my own family fits into the kind of broader experience. But every so often there's a chance where you can kind of type in your own family name and check something out. So found a couple little scraps of things in the archives. And also through the Landscapes of Injustice project, which is doing a lot of outreach to the Japanese Canadian community lately, where if you contact them and give them the names of any relatives you have who were dispossessed, they will send you the government case files that were on file with the federal government related to your family members. So I did that as well.
My goodness. I imagine that can be not only interesting, but a little difficult, I imagine.
Yeah. Mine was pretty sparse. So I found but even so, it was really interesting. And I know that some people had much more extensive records related to their family members, and it was like kind of a knockout experience to kind of just process all of that. Because those records are hard to read. We have, research assistants processing them who have to kind of, even without a necessarily personal connection to this history, it's hard to read those things hour after hour as well. A lot of people lost so many things, and you have records of what it meant for them to lose so much.
Hannah, if you haven't checked out those archives, hopefully that's something you can do as well and find out more about those four generations of your family here.
Yeah, Carolyn? The Landscapes of Injustice website will certainly have the link to get those files for your family, which is landscapesofinjustice.ca.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. If you're watching here with us on Zoom, you're going to see all of these links that Carolyn mentioned in the chat window and on Facebook as well. I believe those have been listed in the chat window there for you too. If you missed something, you would like to go back, this is being recorded and you will be able to find it on the Royal BC Museum's YouTube channel. So please have a look there. Carolyn, thank you so much for preparing today and taking the time to share with us and to show us around the Museum and Cultural Center. It's really exciting to hear about what you're doing and all the congratulations on all the work you're doing to keep people engaged this summer. And I hope your camp,
I'm part of a really great team.
Yeah, it takes a team, absolutely. The team here at the Royal BC Museum has reopened, and we are also ready to welcome folks back. And you can find out more on our website about time, tickets, and exhibits. We will be continuing at home kids, and at outside for the foreseeable future. However, this program at home is now Tuesdays only, and links for all these programs are on our website. If you have little ones in your lives, you can check out our digital summer camp offerings, which offer 3 different themes. We have Into the Wild with our friends at the Kelowna Museum, Drawing from Nature with the Bateman Foundation, and Design, Refine, Define with the makers of the Two Rivers Gallery in Prince George. And again, you can learn more about it and sign up all from the website. We'll see you next week when we're going to travel to Vancouver's Jewish Museum and Archive. Until then, take care of yourselves and one another. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Carolyn, if you can hold on 1 second. Sometimes people chat in the window after.